Hey, what's up? I'm Kyle, and this is Kyle. We're from Bodysnatcher, and you're watching Heavy New York.
Heavy New York!
What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. We are back at the Kingsland in Brooklyn, and we got Kyle and Kyle of Bodysnatcher. Thank you guys so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
I'm very stoked.
Yeah, we're stoked to have you here. So this Heavy Void, which came out January 31st of this year, do you just want to talk about like how the making of this record was, like the recording, songwriting, all that fun stuff?
So I began writing the album probably about a full, I think actually a full year before it came out. So I started in January and then it came out like a year later in January.
Yeah, we had songs that were instrumentally done, I believe, a good 2 or 3 tours before we like even recorded any of it. It was all like the ideas were basically flushed out. It was just a matter of going home and then like building on them and completing the songs and whatever. And as far as like lyrics go, I'm pretty sure he had pages of them already done for a long time, like way before this he was even in the band and whatever. And then as well as like I had lyrics and Chris had lyrics, and basically everybody just all wrote songs lyrically, and that's how it all came together pretty much.
Kind of a silly question, but being that everybody writes songs lyrically, if people were to like open up the CD and just read all the lyrics, could maybe people tell like who wrote who or something like that?
Yes. So basically, we all hand wrote all the lyrics on like little pages for the booklet, and then at the end of each song, whoever wrote it initialed it. So for instance, like a song I wrote would have KM next to it, or if he wrote one, it would be KC, So that's how we just kind of differentiated between all the songs that everybody wrote and whatnot.
Who wrote 1217?
That one would be me.
Oh, really? Because that one was badass.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That would be him.
Yeah. Could lyrics ever determine the outcome of the music itself, or do you guys all need music to come up with lyrics?
100%. Like, you're saying like, in what sense actually?
Like, could like a lyrical idea or a story maybe determine like the arrangement or like how the song would sound?
Oh, yeah, but for this album, we kind of like did all the lyrics last. Actually, I did the lyrics, like a lot of my lyrics, like after most of the songs were written musically.
And what's weird for me is I already had the lyrics before this. I heard the songs. I had a few lyrics, and then I was like, all right, I'm just waiting to hear the songs or whatever and whatnot. But I think he wrote everything pretty much after. So I don't know. Everybody writes everything differently. Like the whole writing process. Everybody pretty much goes about it differently, whether it's just in this band or any band in general. Everybody kind of has their own way of doing things, and it's interesting to see how everybody does everything differently.
It's funny how everybody does everything differently, because I feel like this record was like fairly consistently brutal. Like 1217, I think has this very similar vibe as a song like Merciless, or one track like a Never Homesick or something like that. So is there a strategy in kind of like tying all your different ideas or your minds together into one?
I mean, for the most part, we have it was all just like, hey, let's write personal things. So I mean,
yeah, we had the idea to do a very personal record that, like I had never written lyrics before, so I had to like really dig like super deep for these to like let all that stuff out. So that was really cool, but we definitely agreed on just going all out and just not holding anything back.
Yeah, and my thing is like I don't mind anybody writing lyrics at all. Like I've already written 30 songs for this band, you know what I mean? Like, if anybody else wants to do it at all, I'm cool with it. And, like, everybody else has cool ideas, and I'm totally for that and whatever. But, yeah, I like how a lot of all the songs just turned out. Like, there's no song where I listen to it and I'm like, this is all right. Like, I think all the songs, for the most part, are strong. Not only, like, flow-wise, but they're also strong, like, with what they convey and whatnot, you know what I mean? Like, it's strong stuff, which is cool. Yeah. So.
Last question about the lyrics, because we're kind of doing this to death.
You're good.
But like, could the lyrics be open to interpretation, or being that this record is very personal, do you want the listener to kind of maybe see things from all of your point of view?
I mean, a lot of people can definitely relate to a lot of the lyrics, but for me, this time around at least, they were very specific. Like, to me, they're not really. There's no like metaphors or any hidden meanings.
Oh yeah, no.
It's all just like straight up. This is what it's about. I
Yeah.
kind of wanted it like that, and I know you did too.
Oh
for-
yeah, 100%.
for the ones
like,
you wrote.
Like, there's stuff that I wrote that was, you know, I didn't want to pull punches about somebody that wasn't a good person. You know what I mean? Like that. And that's not really up for interpretation. It's more of just like, hey, this person sucked. Not here anymore, but he sucks. And like, that's what I wanted people to take away from that. And he wanted people to take away things like, hey, this situation sucked. Here it is. You know what I mean? But I mean, if people want to take away different things from it and that's how they interpret it, then, you know,
Yeah,
who am I to tell them
definitely-
you can't do that, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty much all just straightforward stuff. It's, you know,
Now, when it comes to, because you mentioned that you were writing this album for about a year, so like over the years, did it change like instrumentally, or did your sources of inspiration change at all? Because, you know, a lot can happen for one person in a year.
So I knew with this band specifically, this was like the second kind of release that I had written for. With this kind of band, it's every part has to make you want to like fucking fight someone.
Yeah.
Like
You guys like
every
write
part,
songs
yeah.
at people or
Yeah,
at things.
Yes.
every part musically and lyrically has to make you feel like
angry.
something like intense. You know, it has to make you feel intense. So
Well, the whole, I mean, I'd say even when in the inception of the band, even if it's not the same people, because I'm the only original member at this point, even when we made this band when we were 17, 18 years old, we were like, we want this band to be aggressive and full of
yeah.
like the whole time.
and that's what we wanted to
And
keep
it's still like that. So I
Yeah.
mean, and that's what the band wants to keep, that that undertone of always just being very aggressive.
We wanted to obviously come off more mature and have stronger songs overall, but still keep that very like violent, intense like vibe that the band always had.
Aggressive.
Yeah.
Yes.
In order to get inspired to write, whether it's writing the instrumentals or even the lyrics, do you guys have to put yourself in a certain element in order for the inspiration to come, or do sometimes ideas like come out of nowhere?
Sometimes ideas come out of nowhere. Like there'll be times where I'm at home and I'm literally in the shower and I'm like, that's a sick that was a sick idea I just had. Or I mean, you know, other times it just kind of comes to you. I prefer not to force things because then it just kind of comes out not how you want it to for the most part. I mean, it's like you ask anybody that's like an artist when they're forcing themselves to draw or paint or whatever, usually it's not going to come out the way they want to because it's forced, you know what I mean? You want it to come natural.
Yeah, as far as like writing the songs themselves, me and Chris definitely we have like a very good flow of things, and we know what each other wants, if that makes sense. Like we know what we're doing with each other. We like work really well with each other with like structures and keeping like that same mindset together. So
When it comes to playing live, is there maybe a similar energy? Like, because when I saw you on the Ingested tour with I Am back, I can't believe that was almost 2 years ago.
Yeah,
but,
that's crazy.
But like when I saw you on that tour, like I got a similar vibe and a similar like I felt the aggression. It wasn't like one was lacking more than the other, either listening or seeing you live. So like, is there maybe a similar energy that you put into your live presence as when you're songwriting, or is it still like a different process or a different mind frame altogether?
We definitely try to convey aggressiveness live as well as the album, but
Definitely.
it's like obviously when you're live you're in the moment, but I mean whenever we play we just try to convey it as best as possible to just be angry and aggressive and like try to make it a memorable show. That's why like when there's kids that go to our shows or they describe our shows or let you know, kids that love our band or whatever, and they're always like, wow, this band is aggressive and mean live, and that's like the goal of what we're trying to do, you know what I mean? Try not to be a boring band. So yeah, we try to do the thing that we do on album and do it live as well, you know, and a lot of bands can't do that, so I'm glad that it works out for us at least, you know.
Yeah. When it comes, this might be such like a suburban mom question to ask, but like But, because when a lot of artists, when they write music and they're in a dark, angry place, and then they finally put this album out, they're touring off it, they mention, like, okay, I don't feel this way anymore. The music was a release. So is there maybe, a part of you, being that you try to maintain that anger, is there kind of, like, do you almost have to, like, look for that anger? Do you have to, like, put yourself in there? And is there maybe any anger, like, being released?
Oh, that's a definite easy question for me. So there's a lot of songs that I wrote being angry, like a lot of songs I wrote in anger that I've completely let go now at this point, where I'm like, you know what, that situation, don't really care about that situation anymore. But I mean, as far as when you're playing it and you have to look for that anger or whatever, I don't really think that that's the issue, because you're pretty much used to playing like that anyway. But as far as like if we're saying like I'm hearing myself say the words, or like, what have you, I'm not ever like, oh, this makes me so angry still. I'm just like, that one time when I was angry, you know what I mean? But as far as like newer songs, like any of the songs of the new album, I'd say those are more permanent topics emotionally. So those are things that it's not like some little bullshit disagreement that I had with somebody or something like that. You know what I mean? Like that's something that's like always going to have an impact on you. You know what I mean? Like it's like with him, like any of the songs he wrote that are about family or something he went through, that's not something that you usually just like let go. And you're like, that doesn't sting anymore. You know what I mean?
It wasn't like you're writing about somebody cutting you off in traffic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like there's things that we've written about, and I granted Bodysnatcher has always been like a pissed off band about, a lot of the themes that repeat in Bodysnatcher it's a lot of like betrayal and dealing with situations where people have kind of dicked you, in lack of better words. But that's a theme that's been repeated quite a bit. And I guess just the point I was making is, I mean, a lot of those songs are like, I've moved on from those as far as like, I don't get upset about that stuff anymore. So yeah, I would say songs like that, not really. It's not really like I'm like, oh, I'm still so angry while we play, but it's, you play, you know what I mean? You still are aggressive, but it's not like I'm fuming about them still,
And you're not, and clearly you're not playing a character either. It's not like you're putting on a costume and trying to be that angry guy. It comes very naturally.
No, and of course there was a time when we were playing those songs where I'm like, oh, I'm so angry about this. But now it's like, okay, we're playing these songs, cool. I like these songs a lot. Not so angry anymore about them, but I love the songs still. Yeah. But I mean, as far as the new stuff, definitely still has an impact for sure.
Yeah, the new stuff is definitely still like fresh. Obviously, a lot of it aren't those themes that he was just talking about. They're more like, for the ones that I wrote personally, are about like losing a loved one. There is an angry one like about like my stepdad that still, honestly, every night when we play it, I get like kind of pissed off, because it's just fresh, and like I said earlier, I hadn't written before, so dealing with that stuff is kind of like for the first time.
Brings closure.
Yeah, it kind of
It's because the words are charged, and when you write things and when you're emotionally charged and whatever, and they're still fresh in your mind, it kind of, you're like, ooh.
In that moment, it just brings it back for those like couple minutes every night.
Yeah, for sure.
When you try to capture a moment in music, do you find like the longer you work on a song, the harder it is to kind of like maintain that moment or that emotion?
I mean, a lot of it just kind of came out like all really quick. Like I would stay up really late at night writing like lyrics or whatever, or sitting in front of my computer writing, and a lot of it just happened really fast. And I don't know, it's just a lot of emotion all at once, for me at least.
It's got to be truthful and natural when it comes to things like that, at least. Like, yeah, you can write 100 songs about slaying dragons and shit like that, but like when it comes to real stuff like
you
that,
can't
you can't really you can't really cut corners and not be honest about it. Like, you have to kind of just let it come out and whatever. And that's usually what makes the best songs. And if not, then whatever, roast me YouTube, I guess, you know?
And the final question I wanted to ask you is, I want you both to answer this. This is the most difficult question for every artist I've ever interviewed.
Uh-oh.
How do you know when a song is done? You first.
How do you know when a song's done? When I've said my piece and all of the pieces that I needed to say within that 3 or 4 minutes or whatever, you know? Once you get all your points across, then it's done.
That answer was as concrete as the music. I love it.
I mean, hey, when
really
you
like that.
when you say everything that needs to be said and you're like boom, 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 and then once you're at the moment where you're like, I don't know where to go from here, maybe you're done.
There you go. As for you.
Man, I really liked that answer, actually. Yeah, I mean, when you know it's done, you know it's done, I guess. I've never really had that feeling of, like, going back and reworking or going back and starting over or not thinking it's good enough. You kind of just have to stick with it. And, I mean, obviously, if the rest of the band is like, dude, change this, then yeah. But that, I mean, honestly, that didn't really happen on this album a whole lot. Me and Chris and the rest of the guys just all kind of nailed it.
Yeah. It was one of those things where, like, we all showed each other all the lyrics and we were like, yep, that's pretty good. Not gonna change that.
That sounds like the most natural recording process ever.
Yeah.
It was so easy, so natural, and everything was perfect.
Yeah, we recorded.
There was no arguments, no nothing. It was everyone just liked
14
everything that we
songs?
all did. Yeah, it was originally 14 songs. We only had to cut one, just for space to have a vinyl. But like,
You ever worried that song you crop out is going to be a B-side and just be the biggest hit you guys ever had?
no, I'm not worried about that one.
Good song. That's all right. I just heard it the other day for the first time in like 2 months, and I was like, oh, we had that one. Okay. Yeah.
Future B-side.
Yeah, it's not a bad song.
I've already let go of it, so I'm like, nah.
I forgot what it even sounded like, and then Chris was like, you guys want to hear this song? And I was like, what song? And then he played it for Born Anew, and I was like, oh, I forgot about that one. It's pretty good. Cool.
Always happens.
Yeah.
So before we go, I'd like to thank you guys so much for your time today. Really had a good time chatting with you. Is there just anything else you would like to promote for Bodysnatcher? This will be uploaded by midnight, so any tours planned for like 2045, like don't plug them here.
For any tours in 2045. Well,
it's probably, I wouldn't be surprised if there's already happening.
well, hopefully, I don't say anything that ages poorly, but we should have a website up soon with like new merch, all that stuff. We have a bunch of announcements and stuff to make pretty soon.
Could you say it again, please?
Yeah.
Someone must have said something that sounded like Siri.
Whoa, that was really scary.
Can I keep? Do I have to crop that out? Or can I keep that?
I mean, you can keep that. That's
Yeah, but can you say that again?
So we have a bunch of announcements to make once we're off tour in the next like week or so. Merch, website, tours and whatever and whatnot. We have a few things coming up. I'm not really too sure what else to plug. I mean,
you pretty much got everything
we-
that's safe to plug.
if anybody hasn't gotten their pre-orders, which this is going to age like shit, but it's okay. Everybody keeps asking about the pre-orders that haven't been there for the past month. They are coming. So please just be patient. Other than that, that's about it. Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Thank you, man.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Thank you. Everybody, Bodysnatcher, This Heavy Void. Buy it now while supplies last forever. We'll see you next time on Heavy New York.